What is going on, all you Pokemon collecting maniacs out there? This is Ryan, the Pika Pika Papa, and here in October of 2025, we had a very exciting event happen, and that is we had our first Sword and Shield booster box that is not called Evolving Skies break through the $1,000 price point. So if you look before you right now, you can see this is the Fusion Strike booster box, and this is the price graph on TCG Player, and you can see over the last 3 months, after having a price 3 months ago of about $730, $750, it has gained almost 39%, and it is up over the $1,000 price point. Now, that is exciting in and of itself, probably not exciting enough for us to do a whole video on. However, when I started to look at a lot of my data, because you guys know I have a ton of data behind the scenes, we're going to look at a lot of it today, I realized that exactly 1 year ago, something really cool happened as well. Exactly 1 year ago, we had our first ever non-team up Sun and Moon booster box break through the $1,000 threshold as well. So again, October of 2024, we had Cosmic Eclipse break the $1,000 price point. Now, when you look at Sun and Moon booster boxes out there, we have so many, I mean, 4 of them, Unbroken Bonds, Unified Minds, Cosmic Eclipse, obviously Team Up. They're all over $2,000 at this point. Look at Cosmic Eclipse, just shy of $3,000. So it is crazy to imagine that it was 1 short year ago when we had our very first Sun and Moon booster box, besides Team Up, break through the $1,000 price point. So as I said, I got tons of data behind the scenes here, so I thought, why don't we do some comparisons? Why don't we look? Why don't we see what Team Up has going for it, what Cosmic Eclipse had going for it, what, how the prices have performed, where were we, when Cosmic Eclipse, where are those top 20 singles cards when it broke the $1,000 price point compared to where Fusion Strike is? We're going to have a ton of fun. Now, again, just because Cosmic Eclipse did XYZ, it doesn't necessarily mean that Fusion Strike will follow the exact same path. Both of these sets are designed very differently, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute. But I think the one thing we can all agree on, and is definitively true, is that Cosmic Eclipse is the #2 set in the Sun and Moon era, and Fusion Strike is the #2 set in the Sword and Shield era. So we're going to try and learn as much as we can, and we're going to try and put our finger on the pulse of what's going on. And again, maybe we'll try and rub that crystal ball a little bit and make some guesses about what might happen in the future. But most importantly, what I want you to do is have a ton of fun throughout the course of this video. And if you do, if you enjoy the content, if you like the data, hit that subscribe button or give us a thumbs up. Those 2 small things go a long way in helping my small channel out, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. So speaking of data, as you all know, right around the 15th of every single month, I go in and I hard key in the value of the top 20 singles cards from every single set that has a booster box, from the Sun and Moon era, from the Sword and Shield era, from the XY era, from the Scarlet and Violet era, and I will obviously be doing it for the Mega Series as well. So because I do that, I am able to do comparisons like what you see right here. So this is Fusion Strike and where the top 20 singles cards were last month, because it isn't reached the 15th of the month yet, so I haven't recorded the most recent numbers for Sword and Shield era, but this shows you where the Fusion Strike top 20 singles cards were last month, and this shows you where the Cosmic Eclipse top 20 singles prices were back in October of 2024, right before it was just about to break through that $100 or $1,000 price point per booster box. Now, the other thing that I thought was really interesting is if you look what I have called out right here, this is just uncanny, to be honest with you. It took Cosmic Eclipse 4 years and 11 months. It launched in November of 2019. It took Cosmic Eclipse 4 years and 11 months to break that $1,000 price point. Well, guess what? Fusion Strike came out 2 years later in November of 2021, and it took it 3 years and 11 months to eventually break through that $1,000 price point. Isn't that incredible? Like, just a 1-year difference. So because of how hot the market is and because of how everything's been moving, Fusion Strike was actually able to reach that $1,000 price point 12 months earlier than it took Cosmic Eclipse to get there. The other thing that I thought was really interesting, again, as we look at how these different sets line up here, is take a look at where the dollars came from. So in Fusion Strike, you have that Gengar Alt Art VMAX at the very top, right? Then you have the Espeon card, right? Then you've got the Mew. So you've got your big cards up there. A lot of that dollar value is stuck at the very top in that Gengar VMAX. When you get below those cards, when you start looking at card 5 through 20, look at the huge drop off. Cosmic Eclipse is a solid set. Even a year ago, it was a very solid set. I mean, all of the cards were just about over that $40 price point, all of them except the bottom 3. So Fusion Strike is very different. You can see that once you get into the bottom 10, I mean, we're talking about $7, $9, $6, $5, $4. Like, there isn't as much, I don't know, as I would say, there's more disparity between the very top and the very bottom in Fusion Strike than there was in Cosmic Eclipse at the exact same time. However, if you look at the average dollars, the average of a top 20 card in Cosmic Eclipse 1 year ago was $88.30. The average of the Fusion Strike top 20 cards as of last month was $85.16. So even though the dollars are spread out differently, the average is still relatively close to the same. The other thing that I thought was cool is obviously I have ETBs, booster packs, and booster box prices called out. And Fusion Strike booster packs were at $12.51, but a year ago, Cosmic Eclipse booster packs were all the way up at $20.35. So again, just some really interesting things to consider here. Next thing that I thought was interesting is, well, we know now what Cosmic Eclipse has done over the last year. And like I said, I keep this information every month. So why don't we take a look and see where Cosmic Eclipse has seen most of its gains over the last year? And as you can see, it has been a very, very, very good year for Cosmic Eclipse singles over the last year. The average has doubled. It went from an average top 20 singles card price of $88.30 all the way up to $180.11, up 104% over the last 12 months. The other thing that is interesting is take a look at where most of the gains came from. So on the right, I have it broken down in the year-over-year growth percentages for all of us to take a look at. And look at this, like most of it was concentrated in the top, but then it kind of got a little bit lost there in the middle. I mean, still solid gains. Nobody's going to shake a fist at a 70% year-over-year gain in any world. Like, that is just absolutely world-beating type returns. But then when you look at where most of it did come from, though, a lot of it came from the top, but a lot of it also came down below. So we're going to be talking about some cards in Fusion Strike that I do think have some opportunity, but I just thought it was really interesting to see how aggressively these prices have grown. Now, this is a combination of a couple things. We all know that the market that we're in now is unlike any, as far as I'm concerned, we've ever seen. Like, the supply and demand dynamics are totally off. Like, obviously, supply is way, way low compared to where demand is. We have booster boxes that are coming out, and my God, forget about MSRP. You're playing multiples of MSRP right after launch. Look at Mega Evolution booster boxes at $335. So, you know, there's a lot of this which is purely being driven because the market is in a whole bunch of a frenzy right now. But if we think about it, do you think the market frenzy is going to die in the next year with these mega series coming out and with what we all think is going to be a big anniversary set in FY26? Like, I don't think this frenzy is going to die down. So, I mean, looking at what Cosmic Eclipse has done, it is, you know, within the realm of consideration that Fusion Strike maybe could follow somewhat of a similar path. Now, when we talk about Cosmic Eclipse, I said it's very different than Fusion Strike, and we have to understand this and we have to align on it. So I wanted to talk about some of the cards in Cosmic Eclipse because it is a gorgeous set with some really big names in it. Not that Fusion Strike doesn't, but I mean, when you think about Cosmic Eclipse, you've got a Pikachu secret rare card right here. And again, it doesn't have the pizzazz as some of these other ones or the shinies or, you know, the special, you know, crazy artwork that we see nowadays. But that is a very, very solid $100 Pikachu card right there. I absolutely love it. I got some copies of it a while ago. I was very fortunate. I actually have one that popped in a PSA 10 and I love it. It is one of my favorite pieces of my personal collection. But again, you have a big name like Pikachu. What else do we have in here? You got Lily, right? So when you think about Lily, Lily is one of the biggest trainers out there. And then you've got Caitlin, right? Like, obviously you have some big trainers in here as well. And what else is on there with Caitlin? You got Cynthia. I mean, Garchomp is nothing without Cynthia. So, I mean, the list of trainers just continues to go on here. And look, another Lily card. I know Lily's not the name on the card, but this is a Lily card by every stretch of the imagination. Then what do you have? A Rosa. That artwork is absolutely insane. That was the most expensive card up until we had what? The black and white era, which came out, right? Black Bolt, White Flare. And then we've seen a lot of these Reshiram and Zekrom cards pop off, which is now the #2 card up here. And then, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And I know male trainers don't get a lot of love, but you got N on here. Like, N is a wildly popular trainer as well. And then guess what? The little thing called Charizard. How crazy is it when you think about Cosmic Eclipse? The 2 Charizard cards come in at number 16 and number 20 in terms of the most valuable cards in the set. Absolutely wild to think about. And then what else do you got? You got Blastoise up here, okay? And then you got another one down here. Like, The cards in this set are absolutely phenomenal. The tag team concept was so incredibly popular because you had two opportunities for people to love the card. You might love one of the Pokemon on it, you might love the other Pokemon on it, and heaven forbid you loved both of them. So when we think about the comparison between these two sets, the cards in the lineups were fundamentally different, but I think they're both epic in their own right, and Cosmic Eclipse is a very, very, very special set, right? So then we got to look at Fusion Strike, okay? And as I said, they're different, but different can be okay. Now, when you think about Fusion Strike, what do you think of? Obviously, you're going to think of the Gengar cards. Gengar is the big headliner here. As we saw earlier, a lot of the price, a lot of the dollar value in the top 20 is stuck up there in that Gengar VMAX alt art, like a huge card, one of the biggest cards of the Sword and Shield era. But then you have another two Gengar cards in there that are really, really awesome as well. And then what do you get after that? This is a heavy, heavy Mew set. Look at this. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different Mew cards here. Now, think about how popular Mew is. Again, this set versus a kind of shotgun blast of a bunch of different awesomeness. You had a bunch of different awesome trainers in Cosmic Eclipse. You had 2 Charizard cards. You had some Blastoise cards. You got Reshiram. You got Zekrom. It was really spread out. You see a more concentrated level of Pokemon here. 5 Mews, 3 Gengars, right? So you're starting to see that here. But then you got Espeon just chilling on up here, right? Like another fantastic, an evolution alt art, just chilling on a building. Like it is an absolute stunner of a card. And then, not for nothing, you have alt arts. Now, these aren't the biggest names, although that Celebi is a huge, huge popular Pokemon, and I think that artwork is absolutely amazing. I also love that Genesect, believe it or not. I think that card's awesome too. But then you have alt arts in here, and obviously alt arts are like the chase cards of the entire Sword and Shield generation. So when you think about upside in the long run, I think that those represent a decent upside as well. Now, if you follow this channel, you know that we have a tendency to track how sets perform, how their top 20 singles cards perform over a long period of time. I do a video series that I foolishly call it my index fund, but what it is I basically tracked these buckets of cards over the last 3 years. And what we have seen is what starts off as the top 20 doesn't necessarily always stay there. So when you look at the cards that I have not put a red box around in Fusion Strike, those are cards that I think may be at risk. Maybe they don't over the next year or 2 years end up retaining that top 20 status. So what could fill the void? Now, this might surprise you a little bit because these cards are very, very cheap, but remember, Mew, one of the biggest names. You got a Mew V here at $2.50. Gengar, or excuse me, Greninja right here. Greninja has a lot of positive momentum. Like there's a Japanese trademark for a Mega Evolution set, which is called Ninja Spinners or something like that, right? So we're probably going to see an Evolution Series set, a Mega Series set, which is going to have Greninja in it, right? Then obviously Pikachu. Pikachu is wildly popular, and both of these cards are coming in at sub $2 right now. Then you got a Sandaconda over there, which is, I know, it's a less than $5, but at least it's another alt art. Then that Elisa Sparkle right there. I love that card. We saw in Cosmic Eclipse how well that those trainer cards have performed over time. And I know it is really, really hard to envision, like, how can a card go from $1 or $2 all the way up to anything meaningful that's going to make a difference? Well, guess what? What have we seen happen with another V card from Fusion Strike, which I highlighted not long ago? I did a video where I talked about my favorite favorite cards that are under $20, and this Gengar V made it as well. So remember, we were just looking at all of these V cards that are sitting there in the $1, $2 range, right? Here you go again. You got Mew, you got Greninja, you got Pikachu. These are all sub $2. Well, look at where that Gengar card was. That Gengar card 3 short months ago was in the exact same space, sitting at $2. Now it's the number 11 most expensive card in Fusion Strike. It's all the way up to $15.40. And I think that we could see the exact same price action, at least in the Pikachu. And, you know, who knows what about the other ones, at least in the Mew too. Who knows about Greninja, but I feel really good about Pikachu, and I feel really good about the Mew. So again, this is really interesting stuff to compare different sets from different generations, as long as you go at it with your eyes wide open and you understand it's not going to follow the exact same pattern. It's not going to be a 1-for-1, but there is certainly a precedence for how some of these cards could perform. And again, I think the biggest takeaway for me is that I don't expect the market dynamics to fundamentally shift. They might sway a little bit one way or the other. Demand might drop a little bit because people get priced out, or supply might increase because finally Pokemon figures out how to print more cards. Who knows? It might shift just a little bit one way or the other, but I don't think, at least for the next year, we're going to see this massive fundamental shift where prices start dropping because all of a sudden, you know, supply is where it needs to be and everybody can get all the Pokemon cards that they want. And because of that belief that I have, nothing set in stone, I don't have a crystal ball, but because of that, that's why I look at Fusion Strike and I think, man, after seeing what Cosmic Eclipse has done and knowing that Fusion Strike is the #2 set in the Sword and Shield era, I think there's some really, really compelling arguments to be made for some of these cards to go on a really strong run. So that's it. I just thought it would be a fun thing. I think it's a big moment to have our first non-Evolving Skies booster box break the $1,000 price point. I hope you had fun in this video. I hope you learned a little bit. I hope you enjoyed the content. And if you did, hit that subscribe button or give us a thumbs up. Those two small things go a really long way in helping my small channel out. Can't tell you how much I appreciate it. You have an epic one, and I'll talk to you soon. See you, everybody. Bye.